It started as a whisper across encrypted channels, a Chinese supply convoy moving through southern Russia under the cover of night. Officially, it didn't exist. No media coverage, no satellite logs, no mention anywhere. But Ukraine's intelligence networks had been tracking it for days. This wasn't just any transport column. It carried what Russia needed most: advanced radar systems, drone components, and encrypted communication modules worth billions. The convoy was heavily guarded, escorted by private security and Russian troops. But Ukraine was watching, patiently, quietly, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Thousands of miles away, inside a dimly lit underground command room near Kharkiv, Ukrainian intelligence officers stared at satellite feeds. Every movement of the convoy was being tracked from its departure point near Manjuli, China, to the frozen highways of eastern Siberia. The plan was clear: wait until it entered Russian territory deep enough that no reinforcements could reach it in time. Once inside that trap, everything would unfold in minutes. At 2:47 a.m., the convoy crossed the Amur River Bridge, entering Russian soil. There were more than 40 vehicles, armored trucks, radar containers, and military trailers disguised as humanitarian aid. It was the largest secret transfer between China and Russia since the start of the war. For Ukraine, this was the opportunity of a lifetime, not just to destroy supplies, but to send a message to both Moscow and Beijing. Far above the earth, a Ukrainian military satellite zoomed in, marking every truck. The strike order was delayed until confirmation came through, and then, one by one, the vehicles began stopping on a desolate stretch of highway surrounded by forests. The convoy had slowed down, possibly due to snow or mechanical trouble. It was the perfect trap. Ukrainian command didn't hesitate. Target confirmed. Execute Operation Frost Hammer. Hundreds of miles away, a team of Ukrainian drone operators received the coordinates. Within minutes, long-range kamikaze drones, the latest generation built secretly with Western assistance, were launched from hidden bases. The sky above Siberia was silent. The drones flew low, beneath radar, navigating using terrain data stored weeks in advance. Each was loaded with precision, guided explosives, small, fast, and almost invisible. The first strike came at 3:11 a.m. A single drone slammed into the lead truck, erupting in a blinding fireball. The explosion illuminated the forest, followed by a chain reaction of secondary blasts as fuel tanks and ammunition ignited. Before the Russian guards could react, 2 more drones hit the center of the column, cutting off any escape. Panic spread instantly. The entire highway turned into a blazing inferno. Flames stretched hundreds of feet into the air, visible even from orbiting satellites. Russian soldiers tried to respond, firing wildly into the sky, but they never saw what was hitting them. The drones came from multiple directions, each strike more accurate than the last. Within 5 minutes, more than half the convoy was destroyed. Trucks carrying advanced radar equipment melted into twisted metal. Containers filled with microchips and processors were vaporized. The air was filled with smoke, fire, and chaos. Then, as quickly as it began, it was over. The convoy that was supposed to change the tide of war was reduced to nothing but ashes on Russian soil. By morning, the Russian Ministry of Defense went silent. They knew the truth, but saying it out loud would be humiliating. Moscow scrambled to investigate how Ukraine had located such a covert operation so deep inside Russia. Their intelligence agencies couldn't comprehend it. No radio leaks, no GPS signals. But Ukraine had used something far smarter. They had intercepted Chinese logistic frequency codes stolen months earlier in a cyber espionage operation with NATO's help. The convoy's position had been predictable all along. The attack sent shockwaves through global intelligence circles. In Beijing, officials were furious, calling the strike an act of international sabotage. But behind closed doors, they were stunned by Ukraine's reach. Not only had the strike destroyed billions in military hardware, it had exposed a secret alliance that China and Russia had tried to hide for months. The world suddenly realized that Ukraine wasn't just surviving this war, it was rewriting the rules of modern warfare. Satellite photos released days later showed the highway as a scar, a long black trail of burnt vehicles and cratered asphalt stretching for kilometers. Western analysts compared it to the early U.S. drone campaigns in the Middle East, precise, invisible, and devastating. But this time, the technology was Ukrainian, built in secret labs, guided by software that could fly drones hundreds of miles autonomously, with no signal traceable. The strike became known inside Ukraine as the Siberian Lightning. It was the moment when a nation under siege proved it could hit back not with massive armies, but with intelligence, precision, and innovation. Ukrainian engineers who built those drones became national heroes. For them, this wasn't about revenge, it was about survival and deterrence. In Moscow, anger turned to fear. Russia began deploying more air defenses deep inside its borders, draining resources meant for the front lines. China quietly distanced itself, denying any involvement, even as satellite evidence told a different story. The so-called secret convoy became a symbol of arrogance, a reminder that no matter how hidden or powerful a mission might be, it could still be erased in minutes.